everyone, so today we will discuss about debating skill material. They are discourse maker and pronunciation. In the first material, I will explain how to use discourse maker to respond to the discussion. But before the material, I will ask everyone in this forum, have you known about what is a discourse maker? Okay, let me tell you. Discourse maker are words or phrase used to connect, organize, manage, and control a communication. Okay, on this slide, you can see examples of discourse makers. As discourse makers, you can use to start a conversation, and change or adjust the topic of the conversation. For more details, I will explain you in the next slide. To start a conversation, you can use the word right, no, okay. Then to end a conversation, you can use the word so, okay, anyway, right. And to change or adjust the topic of conversation, you can use the word so, okay, anyway, and right. Then to monitor what is being said, like when we speak, we must hear what we say as well as our listener. In addition, the listener who listens to us will respond to what we say. Discourse makers are used to re-express what we say based on listener response, still with the same meaning. And the next, not only that, but you can also use discourse maker to help us talk or express what we mean sequentially. Discourse makers are used to re-express what we say based on listener response. For more detail, you can see the table on this slide that used to express something sequentially. Then, when we want to express the same meaning in a different way, then the list of discourse makers above you can use is, well, I mean, in other words, the thing is, you know what I mean, and you see, and what I mean is, and for the last, when communicating, you and your listener likely have the same understanding characteristic. By one of the discourse maker, you can use, you know, you see. So the next is pronunciation material. Pronunciation material is divided into two parts. The first is emphasizing and the second is pausing. For more detail, here I show the definition of emphasizing and pausing to understand it. According to dictionary.cambridge.org, the meaning of pronunciation is the way to say a word or a letter correctly in the language that we speak. Emphasis means significant attention given to something since it is crucial or it needs to be noticed. Meanwhile, pause or pausing means a brief session in which activity or something as a sound stop and start again.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Yang saya hormati Profesor Dr. Ishak Ahmad, Dekan Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia, Dr. Santi Martini, Dekan Fakultas Sains Kesihatan Universitas AIrlangga, Prof. Dolin Tanggam, Ketua Jabatan Science and Environment, Fakultas Sains dan Teknologi UKM, Dr. Lilis, Ketua Jabatan Sains Kesihatan Universitas AIrlangga, Dr. Zulfahmi, Ketua Kluster Sains Kesihatan UKM serta pengerusi untuk program pada pagi ini, profesors, pensyarah, dosen daripada Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia serta Universitas AIrlangga, dan yang saya kasihi pelajar-pelajar daripada Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia serta daripada Universitas AIrlangga. So izinkan saya bercakap dalam bahasa Inggeris sebab presentation saya ini dalam bahasa Inggeris. Saya akan bercampur-campur lah cakap bahasa Inggeris dan bahasa Malaysia. The title of my presentation today actually as Quality and COVID-19 Pandemic in Malaysia. This work actually has been conducted by our group from UKM. We call it as Atmospheric Chemistry and Air Pollution Research Group from Department of Science and Environment, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. This is outline of my presentation. I will give a little bit introduction, information on COVID-19 transmissions, pollution and COVID-19 cases, COVID-19 in hospital ward conducted by our group members in UKM, lockdown and equity status in Malaysia, particularly we use satellite measurement and ground level measurement, as well as our study case in the Klang Valley, Malaysia, and conclusions. As introduction, I think everybody know about the COVID-19 pandemic, the pandemic due to severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, we call it SARS-CoV-2, and at last, I think the WHO mentioned it as a COVID-19, one tragedy for the human race in this decade. In January 2020, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 outbreak to be a public health emergency of international concern as the number of cases of infection was continuing to rise. So since March, I think 2020, we start to have a lockdown all over the world. This is a COVID-19 total confirmed cases all over the world. For the time being, more than 212 million confirmed cases, and number of deaths is nearly to 5 million, 4.4 million people die because of this COVID-19. This is nearly to the number of deaths because of World War I, which is 5 million. So we seem to have another war actually. World War II is 20 million, but World War I actually 5 million. So this COVID-19 is really a tragedy because it's the number of deaths nearly to the number recorded by World War I. So a very sad what had happened during the World War, and this time actually the number of deaths nearly to the two war that we want to avoid all the time during our life. So this cumulative confirmed cases per million people. I just want to mention a number of cases. You can see that USA, Russia, and most part of the Southern America, and also Iran, and also South Africa. But our number of confirmed cases per million people in Malaysia actually more blue than Indonesia. So we really worry about this, the number of cases, because the number of population, for sure that Indonesia has much more than us, but we actually have about 30 million people. The number of confirmed cases per million people in Malaysia is a little bit worrying, more than 40,000. This is daily confirmed COVID-19 deaths per million people. Okay, per million people in Asia. You can see that this one is daily. You can see that this is Iran, for example. I think this is Mongolia. And in Southeast Asia, you can see that Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, we in the color a little bit dark compared to other countries. That one also worry us. This is total COVID-19 cases in Malaysia. For the time being, the number of confirmed cases is more than 1.5 million. Alhamdulillah, the number of recovered actually 1.3 million. But this one is very sad. For more than 14,000 people have died because of this COVID-19. So in treatment, about more than 200,000. ICU is more than 1,000. Ventilator, with the ventilator, actually more than 500. This is, I think, 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, 23rd of August. So in overall state in Malaysia, you can see that number on all state except for police. This one is just a very small state near to Thailand. Since the number is not more than 1,000. This daily case. For others, actually almost more than 1,000 recently. And this is comparison of Malaysia and other ASEAN countries. You can see that number from 1st of March. Malaysia is here quite low at that particular time. This is Indonesia. Because of number of populations. Indonesia, February 2021, a bit high, more than 10,000, and go up recently. But after that, going down. We in Thailand, actually, Malaysia and Thailand still going up. Show a little bit going down over here, but recently, I think yesterday is up again, 22,000 per day. Other country. Vietnam last time was very, very low, almost no cases. But recently, Vietnam also going up. This is because of different variant, we call it the variant Delta, that come from India at first, and then after that move and transfer to other countries. Alhamdulillah, we can see that Indonesia going down very rapid, but we don't know what happened in Malaysia. We hope that within these few weeks, because of vaccination, number of cases will go down. This is cases by state in Malaysia. Actually, in Malaysia we have 13 states and one what we call as federal territory, 2 federal territory, which is for the time you have 3: Kuala Lumpur, Putrajaya, and Labuan. And you can see that number of cases. I think the highest recorded in our state here, where UKM is located, which is Selangor, and our next is Kuala Lumpur. This is federal territory, and the other state. This is because of population, I think, and also because of the conditions, locations of our area. Selangor and Kuala Lumpur located in the Klang Valley, which is a location that has very high populations. And latest COVID-19 cases, I think 2 days ago, more than 20,000. Can see that Selangor is 4,000, and the other is Selangor and Kuala Lumpur, and the other state also recorded high concentration. For example, Perak, more than 1,000, Johor. This is southern part next to Singapore. This is the condition, as I mentioned just now, the number of cases, confirmed cases more than 1.5. Recently, it's nearly 1.6 million people. Okay, I want to mention about air pollution and COVID-19 cases. I think there were many studies try to correlate the correlation between COVID-19 cases and air pollution. I tried to work with one of our former students, actually, now in Indonesia, Dr. Muhammad Rendana, and we try to look at the cluster and latitude and longitude. But unfortunately, Malaysian Department of Health actually not give us good data for this. Or now they share the data in GitHub. They put everything data, but not that long. But from the website, I think there is one researcher who tried to look at the cluster and then try to put into maps. This one actually based on 21st of August. You can see that the cluster number of cases. Mostly actually the number of cases located in the area which is Selangor and Kuala Lumpur over here. This area what we call as Klang Valley area. This day we also mention as Greater Kuala Lumpur. Means that the area within Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, and also going to Negeri Sembilan, what we call here as Greater Kuala Lumpur. So this is the main area that we have the highest number of COVID-19 cases. Other than that, we found that we have in area that's quite a busy area, Penang. I think if you are familiar with Malaysia's Penang, it's very populated area, Penang, Kedah. And also in the southern part, Johor Bahru, just next to Singapore, and other Kelantan and Terengganu. This is all area that located within the urban environment. Here is in Borneo because of the large area of Borneo. Many urban area actually located in area just such as here Kuching, Sibu, Bintulu, and also this one is Kota Kinabalu, the state of Sabah capital, which is recorded the highest concentrations, the highest number of COVID-19 cases. And we try to look at the air pollution variation in Malaysia, PM10. This is based on 2019 data, actually given to us by Department of Environment. We can see that the population, the concentration of air pollutant, PM10, actually dominated in this area, which is Kuala Lumpur Greater Kuala Lumpur urban environment. So because of wind direction, sometimes go to the east coast of Peninsula, and also sometimes because of biomass burning. You can see that Penang and also Johor Bahru. Here, mostly in Sabah and Sarawak, usually the concentration of PM10 influenced by biomass burning other than urban activities. So this one, industrial areas such as Miri. When we look at this pattern, we can mention these COVID-19 cases actually mostly because of the highest populations, but maybe there is a correlation between air pollution variation as well as the combination of population to number of cases. This is PM2.5. You can see the average for 1 year. Here the location is almost similar with PM10, which is still the location in the Klang Valley area. Actually recorded the highest concentration of PM2.5, and this one also Miri. Sabah actually is quite clean because of less influence from biomass burning. And this one is variation of NO2. NO2 usually related to motor vehicles. The highest actually is still here, and then going up to the Penang, and also here Johor Bahru. Sabah and Sarawak are still considered as clean. If you can see the level of particulate matter as well as NO2 here, the concentration of NO2, as I mentioned, this one is windy.com, can see from satellite. This is the area that affected by vehicle emissions in Malaysia. Actually, this is a video, but I cannot. I'm sorry, I cannot run it. And this is a location that influenced by NO2, mostly because of motor vehicle as well as other related combustion activities such as industrial activities. And air pollutant COVID-19 cases. Many studies actually correlate this air pollution with the number of cases, because study in several parts of the world, such as Italy, mentioned that when people exposed to air pollutant, so the first defense of their respiration system is not working very well, because the first defense of upper airways, we call it cilia over here. And when subject of people living in area with high level of pollutant, it's more prone to develop chronic respiratory condition and suitable to be to any infective agent. So when people stay in area, in busy area, for example, area that affected by air pollutions, the system that considered as the first defense for respiration systems not working very well. That's why people who stay in area that more polluted actually more prone to be affected by the virus of COVID-19. This is study in Lombardy and Emilia Romagna, Italian region, with both the highest level of virus lethality in the world and one Europe most polluted area. This is a very famous study. I think the first study that mentioned the air pollution actually affected the infections by COVID-19. This area in the northern part of study. This is the study by Caucus et al. Shows that this is PM2.5 concentrations in the northern part of Italy. This is the excess death number because of the high concentration of pollutant. So when these people exposed to the high concentration of pollutants such as PM2.5, the excess death because of COVID-19 infections recorded higher compared to other regions. So this is a study case in different regions. As I mentioned, the Emilia Romagna. This is the PM2.5 concentrations. We can see that the excess death actually has a quite a good relation to the PM2.5 concentrations. Unfortunately, for Malaysia, we don't have very good data on the lat-long cases. So we cannot overlay the level of pollutant to the number of cases. So now I want to go to COVID-19 and airborne transmission after I tried to show the connection between air pollution and COVID-19 cases. Now it's COVID-19 and airborne transmissions. Just to, maybe this is just information. I think everybody knows that people can be infected because of, at first we mentioned about the surface, when people touch a surface. And then after that, many researchers shows that the concentration of the amount of droplet or COVID-19 can be transferred via airborne. This is because infected people can produce droplet when they talk, when they sing, when they sneeze, cough, and so on. So this creates a droplet, and small droplet can go up to the air and then stay there, and the droplet with COVID-19 virus can affect it to the normal people or individual still not to get COVID-19. So this is quite a good study by many researchers, shows that at last can convince the WHO to mention that COVID-19 can be transferred through airborne droplet or airborne aerosol. Because when we have droplet and together with a particle, we call it as aerosol. So when we have a condition where we have a very bad ventilation system, the room has a very poor ventilation, so people can easily get COVID-19. infection. That's why we need to use a mask. I think this one, when I first give lecture, to mention that the mask is very, very important to eliminate infections from COVID-19, because this COVID-19 can be affected by airborne aerosol. And this is again droplet easily go down because of gravity. The small one actually can go from one to another and can stay longer within an area that has a very poor ventilation system. So the airborne transmission of COVID-19, as I mentioned, based on this airborne transmission and also by the touching the surface, and because of the droplet can go to the air and then associated with the particles, what we call as airborne transmissions. Airborne transmission of COVID-19 actually become poor when we have very bad ventilations, especially in our area, especially in our conditions where we have a very poor ventilation system. Because in many of our university room, our house, last time maybe we use natural ventilation, but this day as combinations of natural ventilation as well as central ventilation. So because we don't have a very good ventilation, so the movement of aerosol within an area, actually it's very easy to stay. This aerosol can easily to stay longer and easily to be accepted by people who still not infected with the COVID-19. So this is a study by I think our friend from Hong Kong and China. I think the first one to be published in Nature shows that the COVID-19 were found in area in hospital. In what? This is in protective apparel removal room, two of them, and this is a staff office. I think this is the first one actually published in Nature. In a journal shows that the COVID-19 can stay within an area, then this area actually usually has a very poor ventilation system. This one, see the study by Liu, it all shows that COVID-19 can be found in floor, bed rail, locker handle, cardiac table, but this one is exhaust fan. Exhaust fan is quite high and almost similar with the floor. So this one actually can stay longer. Because of this air movement, make the COVID-19 can stay longer and can move from one room to another. Okay, this one actually worked by my colleague, Dr. Shahrul Nazir, in hospital. I think Dr. Shahrul, I think among the first researcher, I can say in the world, start to look at the COVID-19 in hospital. When we had lockdown, Dr. Shahrul already started to work in UKM University Hospital and tried to look at the COVID-19 within the hospital. Unfortunately, our paper actually published a little bit late because I don't know why. We submitted a paper and then we had a long review at a particular time. This one is a different type of room. We use a mini bowl to collect PM10 as well as a sensor developed by Dr. Shahrul called Airbox Sense. So different, and several room has actually a purifier. The other room actually only has a bed without any purifier. We want to show that how good is purifier to eliminate the COVID-19 transmissions. As well as we want to know at that particular time, is it we can find COVID-19 in hospital ward. This is a study actually by a combination of microbiologists as well as air pollutant people and also people who work on air quality sensor. So this is the level of COVID-19 in hospital ward found by the paper, actually led by Dr. Sharul and others microbiologists in our faculty. This one, our local sensor developed by Dr. Sharul called is AboxSense. This one is a low volume sampler that we use to collect PM10, PM2.5. So this is the single room ward, general. I need to share. This general ward C and general ward D. General ward A actually without air purifier. This one general ward B, two air purifier. The LVS sampler located far from the purifier. They have two purifier, but the sampler actually located far. This one is one purifier and this one is one purifier. We can see that the one that without purifier, we can detect the COVID-19. Even though they have two purifier, but far from our sampler, we can still detect the COVID-19. So it shows that a purifier actually in hospital, ventilation system is very, very important to eliminate the number of COVID-19 transmission. This is COVID-19 in hospital also, worked by Dr. Sharul and also our friend from Nottingham University. Dr. Sao from TAR, Tunku Abdul Rahman University, shows that the COVID-19 in hospital actually can be transferred through the ventilation system, through the ventilation system. So the condition of ventilation system and the location of the ventilation system is very, very important to eliminate the infection by COVID-19. So most of the time in our hospital, the ventilation is very poor. This is actually, I just want to go back to my previous studies with my student and also microbiologists from our faculty, show that you can see the air velocity. This study is about macro. Shows that the air velocity in the hospital, actually the one that suggested by the standard is 0.15 to 0.50 meter per second. But in our hospital, the air velocity is only 0.1, this one 0.1, it's below than suggested value by standard. This one is 0.06. This one is respiratory ward. They have purifiers, very good, because people actually stay there. People infected by respiration infection. This one is medical clinic. It's very poor ventilation air velocity. You can see the emergency ward is very, very poor. So because of this poor ventilation system, we found a high number of bacterial populations. For example, the medical clinic is more than 1,000 CFU per meter cubic, and this one is emergency, it's more than 700, more than 500. So the air velocity in our hospital is not very good. And then I want to go to lockdown and air quality status. This is the main part of our study. Just to show that this one you can see in Kuala Lumpur in March 2020. Usually this area is very, very busy when we have first lockdown. I think we can see a blue sky without motor vehicles. You can see this in India. I just went to India in 2019. This is the conditions. When we have lockdown, you can see this. Very nice New Delhi. Then we study this. I think the study led by Professor Kanya from University Technology Malaysia. And this is Solid Asia satellite AOD measurement. We determine by using satellite, Himawari 8. And we also use tropomy to determine the level of gases. This is Japan Meteorological Agency. I think this is one technology that we want to go further in the future to determine the level of air pollutant by using satellite. We can see that AOD via satellite image. This one is April 2018. This one April 2019. We can see that the area is actually quite polluted, except for this area. In this particular time, usually in the northern part of South Asia, we have biomass burning. We can see this between March and April 2020 area like Malaysia and Indonesia is quite clean because of the lockdown. Actually, even from satellite, we can see. This one is Kuala Lumpur, 2018, 2019. You can see that in 2020 it's more cleaner compared to 2018 and 2019. This one we look overall. At that time, the challenge for us is to look for the overall Southeast Asia. And you can see AOD. AOD is actually aerosol optical depth that we can determine this and correlate it with particle concentrations. You can see this Manila, this one quite low compared to 2019, but quite high compared to 2018. But in Kuala Lumpur, you can see this level AOD. Brunei, AOD is 0.18. Singapore is 0.13. Except for this Bangkok and Vientiane, where we found that the level of AOD is more than 2018 and 2019. This is because of the influence of biomass burning in that particular area, in that particular time, March and April. So this is NO2, as I mentioned, we use different satellite to determine the level of, this is satellite belong to NASA. So you can get data for free. You can see the overall NO2 during this April, March actually, where Malaysia and other countries just started in the middle, 18 March. So in April, you can see that the blue color compared to the green, compared to the orange color over here, which is indicate the level of NO2. You can see that the level of NO2 reduced during the lockdown. Changes in NO2 based on the satellite, you can see that the level of concentration is negative, means that the level of air pollutant reduced due to the lockdown. And in Malaysia, we actually have 65 stations of air quality monitoring station belong to the Department of Environment. So we also try to look at these particular concentrations, main criteria air pollutant, PM10, PM2.5, NO2, SO2, CO, and O3. This is the AOD measurement overall study. So industrial, urban, suburban, and rural can see that during 2020, the level of air pollutant in all areas actually reduced significantly because of the lockdown. This is a ground level measurement. Industrial, you can see that the level of air pollutant reduced significantly, except for ozone. Ozone actually, I will explain later why ozone actually not reduced during the lockdown. We also study air quality in the Klang Valley during movement control order. You can see that the level of most of pollutant, PM10, except for ozone. This one, the one that shows a very significant reduction actually is NO2. NO2 and NO2. Because NO2 is a good indicator for vehicle emissions. So this one, PM10, PM2.5, so you can see that the one here is NO2. But ozone a little bit higher during the lockdown. This is ground level air pollution in Selangor. We try to draw a contour on this. You can see that the level of air pollutant reduced significantly. This one, PM10, PM2.5, NO2, SO2, but ozone actually show indication of increasing trend. CO also come from motor vehicles, so reduced significantly. So this is a good information, experience and lesson to the policymaker for Department of Environment on how to reduce air pollutant in the environment. If they reduce the number of motor vehicles and maybe industrial activities, as shown by our experience during the lockdown, can see that the level of air pollutant can be reduced. This is comparison. I just want to show this one. This one is reduction comparison 2018, 2019, 2018, because air always related to conditions, similar condition and wind pattern. Usually the same time in different year show a little bit similar, not totally same, but almost similar wind pattern. So that's why we need to compare with 2018 and 2019. We can see these two show the reduction, the percentage of reductions. Due to the 2020, we compare with 2018, 2020 compared to 2019. You can show that the level of air pollutant within the Klang Valley area reduced significantly based on this one for NO2 until 72%, but not for, I think I mentioned, not for ozone, especially in the busy area. Can see that this one, the level of air pollutant, PM10, PM5, as mentioned, reduced significantly. SO2 also show indication of reductions, but ozone, the one that the pink color, a little bit increased compared to NO2, reduced significantly. And this one is CO, coming from motor vehicles. And this is mobility trend. We found from Google when we publish, people want to, reviewer ask us how we can prove the number of mobility, number of vehicles. We don't have number of vehicles, so we show the level, the number of mobility. So the area that has high mobility during lockdown, only residential area. The other area, even park and so on, shows very reduced significantly. Why ozone actually not reduced? Because of most of the time, actually, ozone produced by organic peroxides that at last produce oxygen single to NO2. NO2, the one that release oxygen single as a main atom for the ozone formations, because the O react with O2 becoming O3. This is in the city center and suburban area. Usually this phenomenon occur because of the emission from motor vehicles. And after that, because of in city center, we have high amount of NO, and O we titrate the O3. So when we have lockdown, this NO is reduced. So that's why the formations, the formation of this NO2 to O also reduced. And this phenomenon actually led to the high amount of ozone, especially in the city center, because low NO that do not titrate the amount of O3 in the city center. That's why area like Kuala Lumpur city center, Batu Muda, the station, and also Klang, which is a very busy area, the amount of ozone increase compared to other pollutants. So this one also indication of based on daily, so it shows that reductions. The one that this one is ozone, shows a little bit increase after that. This one is diurnal pattern during before MCO, and this one MCO. So you can see that the different, except for ozone to be increased. This one is NO2, so you can see the huge difference. And also this is ozone maximum. Ozone maximum usually occur in the in time between 1 to 3 o'clock. You can see that the level of ozone maximum, especially like Klang, increase significantly. It not show any clear increasing trend, but we found that in certain area it reduced, but in certain area, in busy area, for example, Petaling Jaya, it shows a little bit increase compared to other pollutants. Usually in the suburban area, it shows a decreasing trend, but in the city center, ozone increase during the lockdown. So in conclusions from my presentation, COVID-19 actually can be transmitted by airborne transmission aerosol. This one is very clear. After many studies, air pollutant has been indicated as a factor that contributed to the increasing trend of COVID-19 cases. People exposed to polluted air has low defense mechanism for virus transmission and easily affected by COVID-19. And lockdown in different parts of the world actually reduced major air pollutant. This one is good lesson for the policymaker, especially because of reduction of number of motor vehicles, reduced NO2 and other combustion related pollutant. At the same time, ozone shows increasing trend because of the chemistry of ozone itself. For that, I would like to thank all the committee members, my colleague and at UKM, and as well as from UNAIR for giving me opportunity to give this talk, and thanks to my collaborator who also contribute to the analysis of the data. Thank you very much.